going on, guys? Do you guys remember? I'm talking about you drivers. Remember back in the day, and when I say back in the day, literally, this could have been as early as 2020. I would say from 22 to 23 even. You used to still be able to make $200 relatively easy. You didn't have to drive 10 hours the whole day to make it. And even earlier than that, I would say probably 3-4 years ago, you used to be able to make more doing Uber and Lyft. That technically, I gotta agree with Uber and Lyft on this one. It's supposed to be a side hustle. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. Supposed to be a side hustle, but back when I started, you used to be able to make as much money as a full-time job. And 5-6 hours. Think about that. More money than a full-time job in any average city. In an average city. We're not talking like New York or California or any of these big places. I'm talking about Connecticut. You used to be able to come out here, and I don't want to get you guys wrong, you can still probably make that, but you're going to drive all day. I'm talking about the days that you used to be able to come out 5-6 hours max, make $150 on a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? Those days are over. Now for the passengers, remember when Uber and Lyft was so cheap, even on rainy days? Taxis could not even compete. Did you know on average, with surge, Uber and Lyft is just as high as a taxi or limo service, if you could believe it. Yes, you can get a private limousine to come out and take you on an hour-long trip, and it will be about or possibly even less than what Uber's going to charge you for that same private ride. Well, it won't be private, but we'll say Uber Black ride with surge. Taxis might even be cheaper. You know what I mean? Or about the same, if at the worst case. So what does this mean going into the future? Well, I think this means it's only going to get worse for both passengers and drivers. I'm sorry, I got to be the one to give the bad news all the time, but it is what it is. It's come to that, where Uber and Lyft is just simply, I believe they're both struggling right now. Look at the stocks. You don't believe me? Go look at the stocks. You get off the video, pause the video, do whatever you got to do. Go look at both Uber and Lyft stocks. They're plummeting because it no longer works. Drivers are getting tired of getting gouged, taken advantage of, being in harm's way for this little bit of money. Passengers are tired of being overcharged. So what does this mean? That passengers and drivers are starting to communicate directly. Damn the app. People are starting to flat out ask the driver, what are you getting for this ride? I've had passengers ask me. I didn't even ask them. I was minding my own business, just taking them to their destination, and they'll come up and be like, you know, I was wondering, because they charged me a lot of money for this ride, especially on Uber side. I mean, it happens on Lyft too, occasionally, where they're super gouging on the passenger. But people are like, yo, I paid like $78 for this ride, and normally I only pay like $15. And all it was a little rain. and the demand was higher, I admit, because drivers don't like being in the rain, but $15 to like $78. Now I'm happy this is happening. I'm gonna tell you why I'm happy. This is gonna make it easy to transition into private rides. Easy. It should make it easy. My roommate was saying, well, he don't like to solicit his passengers and try to convert them. It's so easy now. Sometimes the passengers convert themselves. Well, they'll basically be like, you know what? How much if I just do this off the app? How much would you charge me? They're starting to do that. But I must admit, I think it's only right that you do it the right way. You get the commercial insurance if you're going to be constantly doing stuff like that, because there may come a day, and it's rare, I'll keep it real, it's rare, you know, that something will happen that requires you to have your own commercial insurance, but Uber and Lyft is not going to cover you anyway. You probably would have to sue. If me and the passenger got into a horrible accident, we're both in a coma, my family would have to sue to get them to either offer help or pay for anything. My family would probably have to sue. That's why Uber and Lyft is no longer a good side hustle. It's become a problem. It's become a serious problem. When people are telling me that they'd rather be on a roadie app than doing Uber and Lyft, it's a problem. It's becoming a problem, and the stocks are showing it. They're constantly in the news. They're constantly getting sued. Lyft is struggling so bad, guys, that just 2 months ago, Lyft was paying me good. They were paying me good where I was talking about it in my videos. They were paying me $2 to $5 more for the same ride on Uber. That role has shifted back. I think Lyft is really struggling again. And I heard that supposedly one of the people in the higher ups, and I think she was the president, stepped down from Lyft. Yeah, I believe she was president, because David Rich was the CEO, but I believe this lady, I can't recall her name, was the president, and she left Lyft. Why would she do that, guys? Does she know something we don't know? This stuff is for the birds now. And converting, like I said, is going to be easy. You do want to get licensed. You do want to get your commercial insurance. But I'm not a hater. I'm not one to tell you that earn your way to pay for those things. You take that how you want to, whatever meaning how you want to take it. You got to earn your way to be able to afford the commercial insurance for one, which is going to be a little bit more pricey, but it's not as bad as it used to be. It's not as bad as it used to be, especially outside of Connecticut. There's smaller insurance companies that specialize in signing up specifically Uber drivers. They don't have it here in Connecticut, but there's a couple companies. I didn't bother signing up with those companies because they can't help me here in Connecticut, at least not yet. Hopefully that's coming in the near future, but I found a local company that on average is going to cost me, if I were to guess, about double of what my regular basic car insurance is. So that's, if I were to give you a number here in Connecticut, I would say that's probably the average insurance cost is anywhere from $200 to maybe at the higher end $300 a month. If you double that, You can eliminate the personal insurance altogether and just pay the commercial, and it's going to cover both. And I found one smaller company. I'm sure there's others. If I dig, I'm sure there is, but you guys see that it's just no longer cost efficient. You know, we're wearing out our car, we're putting ourselves in harm's way. You know, I just got in a fight with a young guy the other day, and it was during the day. I got in an argument with a guy, you know, so all for, they want you to travel. For example, the offers they're giving are so bad, they want you to do like 15 minutes to go pick up somebody. The ride itself is only 6 minutes, and they want to offer you $5. It's come to that. It's come to that. It's unfortunate, but it has come to that. And I'm thanking God that I'm doing other things, because I'll be honest with you guys, I could not survive right now if I only depended on Uber and Lyft. Where just I would say early 2023, I could have said I could survive on just Uber and Lyft. I could have. Just barely, but I could have. You know, paying $1,200 a month. Car note, car insurance, electricity, cable. Now it's not even an option. I would not make it had I not been renting rooms and selling digital products online. I would not be able to make it right now. It's just simply not possible to make even a decent living just doing Uber and Lyft. Now, if you were to probably say, I don't know, you could possibly say you could add on 3 or 4 different other apps, and maybe it's a possibility you could still do it. And then you could still do just Uber and Lyft if you want to be that loser that takes every offer and drives. What's the most you could drive now without the app shutting you off? You could probably get away with driving Uber for 10 hours, take a break or catch a nap 2 hours, and do another 10 hours on. So you could probably get away with doing 10 hours on Uber, maybe taking 2 hours nap or break in between and doing another 10 hours on Lyft. Yeah, I would say, yeah, you could still be in, you know, $3-4 grand a month, but you're gonna be tired, you're gonna be miserable, your car's gonna be worn out, you're not gonna have a love life. Who wants to live like that? I'm waiting. Hit me in the comments. Who wants to live like that? Nobody. You want to be able to use this as what it is, a side hustle, and make a reasonable amount of money. I don't expect you to make a full-time income if you're part-time doing Uber or Lyft. I don't expect it. But I do expect it to be like it was literally just a year ago, where you could come out here, make a quick $120 to $150 in 5 to 6 hours. And that's doing both platforms. Maybe one, I'm still thinking you should be able to make about $90 to $100 with one app in 5 to 6 hours. Those days are gone. They're simply gone. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just time to move on. And moving on is figuring out a way to basically go private legally, where the insurance is not going to break you. And that looks like, to me, you have to create other side hustles to even get ahead. To mostly, you're going to have to get a job. Let's be real. Most of you are going to have to go back to work. The only reason why I say I don't have to go back to work is I'm doing other things. But most of you, just to fulfill your dream to go private, you're probably going to have to go get a part-time job at the very least while you're still driving. One of the roommates I got that I rent to, he has a full-time job and he does Lyft. And he still complains. People think you shouldn't still complain, but he still complains because he's still getting ripped off. He doesn't want to spend 5 hours on the app, and feel like he got ripped off. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, and crying about it is not going to fix the problem, but crying about it gets the awareness out. Quote unquote, that's what they want to say. I'm always crying. It lets people know that even are thinking about doing this, understands that this is no longer going to replace a full-time income. Because a lot of people still think that you can come out here and even do DoorDash only full-time and make a good living. And when they get out here and they realize the hours they got to put in. I had one girl that was trying to rent from me, and she said she only did DoorDash, and she could barely come up with, I don't know why she would say this, you're trying to rent from me. This is not going to make me rent to you. Say she was struggling because she was doing DoorDash, and she wanted to know if I can give her a break on the upfront security. And I feel compassion because I understand what that's like, but that would put me in a burden because I do know that she's probably a candidate that the minute she got in, she'd be on her way out because she can't pay rent. That's the reality of most of these gig jobs, unless you pull, I would say, like 5 or 6 different things. And even then, I'm hearing food delivery sucks, rideshare sucks, all the alternative apps, like for the companies that were paying better than Uber and Lyft, those are slow because it's a slow time for those apps. And other companies have apps that I'm always talking about that you could do other than Uber and Lyft. They're all slow right now. So the gig economy as a whole is slow. Now here's some good news. For those of you that haven't got the EIDL, you missed it for whatever reason, you didn't get that money, you didn't apply, it's not too late. If you were driving, I don't even think you had to have been driving during the pandemic. I think you could have been driving anytime from starting from 2022 to now. The government does have grants still available in the way of, I think one's in a form of a tax credit, because they still have some of those funds left over, believe it or not. Even though a lot of people defaulted, I was telling my daughter this, there are still certain things that could help you as just a gig worker. I got the EIDL in my own name, even though they considered it a business. It's a sole prop in my own name. I didn't have an LLC set up. I still got the money. So this is not even something you have to structure properly, and you still might qualify for this funding. Now, if you structured it properly already, that's only a plus in my mind. Meaning you structured it in an LLC or corporation. So fast forward, this is what I'm telling people. Think about structuring it properly. I was getting a phone call. Sorry, guys. But think about it, structuring it properly. And that's only going to help when it comes to finding grants and getting other opportunities for funding. But that's all I have for you guys. God bless you. I know the struggle's real. If you need help setting up your corporation or finding these grants, check the description box below. Get in touch with me. Let's make this money. I'll see you guys in the next one.